Alright, here I am back again for part two um, of the David Goggins response to his challenge one that has to do with your life challenges, and challenge 6 that has to do with building calluses in your mind. I was to the point where I had smoked the spice, and that one night, a day that I smoked it, I managed to calm back down, but days later the anxiety started coming back. It wasn't the anxiety connected to the thought of anything bad happening, or even like before had been with me, just crazy thoughts turning in my own head. It was just, as far as what seemed to me, just bam, anxiety I was feeling for no reason at all, which made it the worst thing of all, because it seemed to me like I shouldn't be having it. There was no reason for it. I knew better, but I was still feeling the tormenting feeling. It wasn't long after that I was going to have to go off on 2011 AT annual training with my unit to Fort Gordon for about 2 weeks, and it was the thought of having to go off made it, and that it could be worse away from my usual settings that I was used to, made it worse, which is why it was worse there. It was kind of a miserable 2 weeks. When I got back, I started feeling better, but not all the way better, not relieved. So I knew something was still wrong, even though I thought I was feeling better. One night here in Gadsden, before I drove back to my parents' house in the neighboring city of Southside, I was eating at a Chili's not far from where I live now. And I was drinking a Blue Moon beer, and as soon I was just sitting there looking around the room, and then all of a sudden a real bad wave of anxiety hit me. I managed to fight it off the first time. The second time, it did not let up, and it was horrible. I drove all the way home. It was bad. I got home. It was bad. I went to sleep that night and woke up the next morning. It was still bad. I at least had friends who were available some of the time to hang out with and talk with about it, which was a definite support. But it was still bad, and it was still constant, and it did not let up. And here's how I ended up learning to callous my mind to stuff like that. It kind of just happened to me one day when I got back home from church. I was reading my Bible, and it's kind of hard to describe, but I got the feeling of like the anxiety was pressing in for the kill, and this terrible feeling of torment that I was so afraid of overtaking me. And that's what kept me anxious, and what kept me tormented, the fear of torment that was bearing down on me for seemingly no reason at all. It felt like it was really just about to crush down on me. I was sitting there reading my Bible, trying to keep my mind off of it. I think I was somewhere in the Gospel of John, and something happened. It's like there was two parts of me. One part of me was like a child. The other part was a man. The child part said, I'm tired of this. I'm always tired of feeling bad and all the things that are not like I like them in my life, and I'm tired of this feeling torturing me. I want it to all just stop. The man part of me It's almost like I was thinking this dialogue in my head, just like, or hearing it in my head. The man part of me said, come on, I want it to stop too, but we're just going to have to face it. So at that point, I let loose. Because I wasn't just saying that to myself. There was something bigger than me welling up inside of me. I'll just describe it that way. So I just became like the man side of me and just let go, quit trying to fight the anxiety, and said, come on, do your worst. And it did, but it didn't. By that, I mean I let go and let it hit me as hard as it could or wanted to. The same horrible, tormenting feeling that I was so afraid of. I just let loose and let it come over me. But I was also kind of detached from myself. So even though I felt it, I still didn't. This is just an analogy I'm making. This is kind of a sick example. But just like Buddhist monks who burned themselves alive in protest, sitting there in the lowest position while they burned. They're still burning. That fire's still there, but they're detached from it. That's kind of what it was like for me. It came all right. That anxiety, that torment that I let come, it came. It was still burning me, but I was detached from it. Having, just for lack of a better way to describe it, got in touch with this deeper place in myself that wasn't backing down to it. And when I could kind of just say, experience it, but not experience it, or experience it detached from that, and realize that even though it's so bad, it's also not so bad, is when I kind of faced it, and that helped me stop being so afraid of it. That's how I've built certain calluses in my mind, or how it started, a certain confidence that even when things seem so bad, there's something in me that's detached from it. That was a definite turning point for the better in my bout with this horrible anxiety in 2011. It was not an instant fix that made things suddenly better. Things were still bad the rest of that year. A lot of the time, just nowhere near as bad, and that's when I could it was at least kind of a pivotal point where I could kind of pivot against it and start taking my life back from that stuff I'd let in with that spice. In the months that followed, some days, even though I wasn't feeling as bad as I had before, I was still feeling bad. I would go to the gym and work out. And even when the workout seemed like I couldn't get through it with my anxiety, I just told myself, that's all the more reason I need to go hard to get this gone, because I don't want this stupid anxiety bothering me today. That's how I kind of callous my mind a little further to the thought of working out, and sometimes, even when I'm feeling just a little bit the same way, because I've just been, idly thinking to myself, or letting myself ruminate too much. My mind's in a bad place. I need to go to the gym to snap out of even today, and it starts to make me feel like, oh, I'm just wired from all this. I can't do a good hard workout like I want to. I just go on anyway and know that's what will stop that, both the anxiety, the self-doubt. And I've done that enough times now to where there's some more calluses in my mind that even when I feel that way, I know of all the times I gone through it, I can get through it again, and I'll be feeling better when I'm done, even though it may feel a little bit uncomfortable through it. If you want to know where I stand physically on how I push myself, here's my typical ab workout. I wear steel-toed shoes for some weights. I do 3 sets of 70 to 90 flutter kicks, followed by as many leg lifts as I can get. I rest about 20 seconds in between sets. Then I take one of those little Pilates-like bubbles, not the full ball, but the half bubbles. I do crunches Not with my hands here, but up here, so it's harder. That's the hardest way. I lay it all the way back. I go all the way forward. I do 4 sets of that, as many as I can get. And those first 2 sets, when I do that last rep, I'll hold it in place right here. Pull my abs as tight as I can for at least 2 minutes. I go back to the tower. I do a set of 30 to 40 knee raises, followed by 3 more sets, as many as I can get. I work obliques on a certain machine. I go to the Roman bench for lower back. I may not exactly be a Navy SEAL, but for your average person, that's how hard I gotten in the gym. And even though I sweat pretty good, it seems pretty hard through it and tough. That's how I built those calluses in my mind. I tell myself some people are in pain all the time. They're sick, they're suffering, they're in hospitals. It'd probably feel like heaven to them if their pain was going to end in 2 minutes. They'd probably feel overjoyed. That's what I'm thinking when I'm starting my 2 minutes on that little ball. Also, a lot of things that I had to have friends I really trusted to get some of that crazy stuff that's just so bizarre that I was so humiliated to say out and finally say it to someone, to realize it was no big deal. It was different sorts of things, but part of it was just finding people I really deeply trusted that I could open up to, and that's kind of how I got through with that. And as far as getting a good job, I work security at Riverview Regional Medical Center at Gadsden now, and I had to just get momentum started searching for a job. I looked on monster.com. Someone from my unit told me about that. And I started being proactive, and I didn't get a job I didn't find that job on monster.com. Kempo instructor had suggested to me going to that hospital and asking about security. So I did. They hooked me up with Dynamic, a contracting out security company, and I got started working there. But it was just being proactive like Monster helped me do, and looking for things on Monster that put my mind in that place where I could finally break through all these things that had held me for so long about being able to get a job. It was really as simple as that. Just be proactive, put my mind in this place, and it just affected me everywhere else. I started asking about a job everywhere else, and I eventually found someone, got to talking to someone who could tell me something. And also, I volunteered for the rescue squad several years. Certain things there helped build my confidence and helped me, removing dead bodies from bodies of water, helped build my confidence that I was really a man, and all these insecurities and garbage I learned as a kid, how I couldn't do it, were not true. I mean, it was really a lot of things. But that's pretty much the story of both my challenges and how I built calluses in my mind through them. I hope this helps somebody. I hope someone, thanks to anyone who's gotten through 2 parts of this. David Goggins, if you're watching, thank you for hanging on so long too. I'm glad, after reading your book, I could talk back some to you, and thanks for the challenges with the hashtags where we could communicate back after reading your stuff. Drop the earplugs. Anyway, I guess that's all, and good night.